Stathopoulos and Josh Phegan come together in an incredible podcast, Grow, Scale, Master.
An energetic approach to drive progress, master skills, build strengths and put the strategy back into rapid business and personal success.
Backed by real-world experience in rapid scaling to playing the long-term game of business, it's the story of all the lessons learned on the journey to mastery.
Be inspired, renew your energy and chase the future with Grow, Scale, Master.
Con, one of the big ones for me is that calendar execution is absolutely everything in running a great business. And I remember the first year that I ever started out in real estate training, which, believe it or not, is now 19 years ago.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And the interesting thing that I went through and I was like, I remember ringing my first set of clientele on circa December 20 going, I've got an available slot tomorrow on the 21st. Do you want to take it? And people were like, no. And they're like, why? And they're like, because we're doing our last minute Christmas shopping. I was like, losers. But what I then learned later on is that I actually didn't really understand the power of planning. I didn't really understand how a calendar worked. I didn't understand the rhythms of the year. And there are some that are really built in that are hard baked. And there are some that are just preferences.
Yep.
And then there's other stuff where you could actually change it if you want. And I think that you're a really good example of that with your Super Saturdays. And so I want to get into that of calendar execution. How important is it, that the business has got a calendar? How important is it that business leaders have got a calendar? How important is it that salespeople have got a calendar? Because some of those have got some different meeting rhythms and some different planning requirements and different forecasting, right? Around them.
Yeah, look, we are in a serious business.
Yeah.
Right. So I think a lot of people tend to forget that that we're dealing with people's livelihoods here: birth, deaths, marriages, divorces, domestic violence. Nan's got to go into a home. So the relevance of that is that if we're not planning our time in blocks and not looking at rhythms in terms of, okay, this Easter, we know that we've got Easter, Anzac Day, school holidays, all jam-packed together, plus an election in May, which could be April, right?
Could be February too.
Could be February.
Yeah.
So the reality is that you need to be able to read the play. We're professionals. Let's act like professionals. So in our organisation, we have an annual calendar of events.
Yeah.
So people know when we've got a team meeting, which is on Zoom every Monday morning, 8:30 till 9 o'clock. There's no surprises. We've got a power up every bi-monthly, which is getting our groups together. We've got Kickstart. We've got Head Start. We've got Super Saturday launches.
Yeah.
We've got, internal campaigns. It's all documented so people know exactly what they're doing and when they're doing it. Conversely, also, I think I read somewhere, and my daughter sent it to me the other day, if you take 5 days off in this April, you end up having 14 days off. What a great way to be able to cater for the holidays and the breaks. But if you're not looking at where the time that you can invest to get the best return on your time, then you're really letting your calendar control you. It's just as simple. It's just really funny. Jamie Benjamin, good friend of ours, right?
Yeah.
He's back.
He's back, yeah.
Jamie's back. I said, Jamie, I can't wait to give you a hug. And you know how much Jamie Benjamin loves hugs. He'll be listening to this.
Yes.
And I said, Jamie, I'll see you Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. He goes, no, mate, I'll see you at 11:30. I said, well, what about 9:30, mate? He goes, yeah, no, 11:30. I said, 10 o'clock? He goes, Con, it's prospecting. I'm prospecting from 9 to 11:30. That's in his calendar. It's an appointment that he can't break. So I think the importance of actually looking at your personal life, your business life, whether you're an agent, whether you're running a team, whether you're a sales manager, a principal, head of PM, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you don't have structured time, then you cannot complete the tasks that must be completed on a daily basis at a minimum, right?
So the interesting thing, when I do my work, and I've got incredible Kylie, she's been with me for 10 years, and one of the things that Kylie does is that, she works about 18 months in advance in terms of planning the calendar. So she was asking me this week about, what 2026 is looking like and what my plans are for 27. And I was like, okay, I was thinking January 26th. And the interesting conversation was what we actually do is that the first set of appointments that she goes to put in the calendar is actually our annual planning retreat.
Yep.
Where our quarterly meetings are with the team, where our monthly meetings are with the team, what weekly meetings are happening with the team, and where the daily meetings are with the team. And that's the really important thing, because she's maintaining the perspective of where we think as a business. And then one of the things that we then go and do is we have a look at what we go to call all-day events.
Yep.
So we have an all-day event on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And when you double-click on that, it literally specifies what happens on that day of the week. And that is then broken out into based on job detail by job role.
Yes.
So, for example, what does marketing do? What does my head of operations do? Literally, what do I do? Literally, then, what do we do in terms of operational support? So all of that's actually there. So if anyone in the team is ever away, sick or unwell in that job role, anyone in the team can quickly see that's what that job role does today, in case we need to cross-share quickly in the job roles to be able to go, that would be an issue that's not happening. Let's make sure that's there. So if you think about it, how many different job roles do you have across your business? Salesperson, sales support, CM, that conversation, PM, leasing, whatever. What would that person do on that day? So that way you can quickly jump into it. And then what she then does is she then goes and has a look at all the holiday blocks.
Yep.
So we look at New South Wales, Victoria, all the different states, territories, countries that we get to go to do work in. And then we then say, okay, great. How does that work? Because then we then have to go and plan in where do the Josh Phegan events go? And then where do the key client events go? And then key clients have got specific days that they do and they don't train and how that works and what's a Melbourne week and what's a Sydney week and then what's an international week and what's a travel week. And that's really fascinating because what that then helps us to do is to get clarity 18 months out. And Kylie's always really driving me with the 5-year view to make sure that important milestones, she thinks birthdays and those types of things, are not missed. So you've got some extra time in that year, but that year I'm going to run you tight because there's going to be some milestone birthdays or key things or events that you should really be celebrating. And to me, that level.
Well, that's called a professional.
Yeah, right.
So the
I thought it was something else like psycho, but it's very good.
The difference between an amateur and a pro is an amateur is going to rock up on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Monday is a predictable day for us, and so is a Saturday.
Yeah.
All the magic in real estate is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Sure.
Right? So the amateur turns up on a Tuesday and doesn't have a call plan, doesn't know who they're calling or why they're calling it.
Sure.
Has an MA at 9:30 so they can come a little bit later.
Yeah.
Then they get a coffee. By the time it's lunchtime, Joshy, let's go get a chicken schnitzel. And then I've got one at 3 o'clock and then I've got one at 7 o'clock and, it's a kitchen table. I might move it. So this is all about, we have such a gift.
Yes.
Just think about the top neurosurgeon in this country.
Yes.
Earns less than $2 million.
Yes.
The best of the best that's been to school for 12 years, that's operating on brains, earns less than maybe 200 or 300 other agents in this country.
Yes.
So just let's marinate on that for a second.
Sure.
How hard is it then to get structured and organised to be able to provide the experience that your clients, internal or external, deserve?
Yes.
And it's very, very simple. It's revenue versus activity periods.
But you're seriously good at that because there are some agents that have limped through December. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm done, I'm not coming back until after Australia Day or Waitangi Day, for example, in New Zealand. And they're going to come in and, Australia's got some turbulence ahead with elections and stuff. And they're going to get surprised by the roughness of the year and the trading cycle. And I'm not saying that you guys won't be impacted by those things because obviously everyone will be.
Yeah.
But your planning and execution.
We're already at September of this year.
Yeah.
We already know the rhythm from Super Saturday, which started in October. You were there.
Yes, yeah.
We launched it in October. It launches to the public, from October. It launches to the team in October, to the public, listing from October to December 23rd.
Yeah.
26th it goes live.
Yeah.
First opens are 11th of January.
Yeah.
Auctions on February the 1st. We've got 150 auctions on one day. Now, what happens after that? That's fantastic, but then we're going to have 12, 15,000 inquiries. We're going to meet 10,000 buyers. We're going to have a lot of underbidders. That's where March, April and May are now taken care of because we've got internal and external campaigns. Mm-hmm. So really, our June and July are really, and by the way, July of 2024 was a record month for us. Mm-hmm. So this is all about planning. Because you can rest whenever you want to rest. That's the beauty about this industry. Mm-hmm. But when you've got an opportunity and you've got momentum and you've got energy, you need to capitalize on that. And that's what people did in COVID. So COVID was this roller coaster. Everyone remembers it, right? It was like, oh shit, what are we going to do? And the world's going to cave in. We're all going to turn into zombies. My life's dead, blah, blah. All of a sudden, these green shoots started popping out everywhere. And then people went, oh, I'm going to have the best year I've ever had in my life professionally. And I'm going to get that momentum. People grew 50, 100, 200, 300% in that period. Mm-hmm. Why? Because energy breeds energy. So if you do not have your year planned out, personally, your life plan, your business plan, your team plan, then all you're going to do is survive. You're just going to exist. You're going to turn up every day. So I've got this system in my calendar. Everything's color-coded. And then every 3 months, we do a download of all the colours of where my time's going. So I can quickly see, geez, I had so much time with suppliers in quarter 3. Why? Why was that important? Was it important? Could that have been done, by Rachel or Amy or Emily in the business? Okay, I didn't spend enough time in property management, or I had too much time in projects, or, our partners didn't get enough. So this is all about actually giving you the clues of where you need to direct your energy and focus so you can grow yourself.
How important is it to consider the type of work you do? So there's strategic work, there's execution work, there's on-the-ground delivery work. Like, how important is it to get that right?
Mate, I've got great strategy. Where I fail personally is in executing. But I have a team that can execute for me because I know what my strengths are. So for me, it's about clarity of vision, strategy, and being able to think ahead of the curve and see what's next. Right? Does that make sense?
Well, mate, I do a fair bit of motorbike riding over the break, and when I'm doing that, there's no execution, there's no strategy. I'm getting lost, like in a good way.
Yeah.
And I did no work. Zero work.
But you're actually doing so much work there, mate.
When I came back, though, the power on the keyboard and how fast these little fingers had been typing and the quality of the thinking that's come through has been probably, I think, the best year setup we've had.
I look at it, mate, and I go, what's the problem you're trying to solve in your life or in your business? Okay, cool. Now let's start thinking about that. And sometimes the best thoughts are in the gym, in the sauna, swimming, or watching TV or whatever it might be. But the reality is that we need to be able to put the energy into that time. And if you don't schedule it in, or if you don't unschedule it, then all that's going to happen is you're going to exist. I'd rather go backwards than exist.
Sure.
Right? Because if I'm going backwards, it means I'm having a crack or I know that I've got a gap or a deficiency in my business or in my day or in my skill set. But if I'm just existing, and you've seen this, how many agents, come to Blueprint or come to training sessions? I think I asked you this 10 years ago. I said, how many people are the repeat people that come every year? And you're like, mate, 80 or 90%. How many of those don't grow? Small percentage. Why don't they grow, Joshy? They don't grow because they don't execute. So you need to have that balance of both. But the problem is that we come away with all of these ideas.
Yeah.
What are the one or two things that are going to move the needle?
The funny thing, I read a quote over the last couple of days, and it was like, have you ever met that guy or that lady who says, I went to the gym today? Yes, I've done it. Yeah. And I was just like, oh yes, I went to training back in 2004, so I've done it.
I've learned it.
And it cracked me up.
Yeah.
And wherever I was, I think the people looking around me were like, what's wrong with that guy? But it was quite funny for me.
Yeah.
Experiences that rapidly shaped you.
Con, the big one for me is always about customer ascension models. And, this is about recency, frequency, and monetisation. So how recently was this person involved? How frequently are they involved? And how much money do they spend with us? And, I think it's really evident in the luxury market, whether or not it's hotels and they upgrade you, or whether or not it's in the watch market in the type of watch you can or you can't buy. And, my dad's been on the list to get a watch for a long time and he hasn't been able to do it. And a really good client of mine is into watches, and I rang him and said, oh, can you help dad out? And he's able to get the watch in 2 weeks, and it's a really great conversation about ascension models. And, we've sort of seen this before. And I think Hermes is probably pretty famous. I think there's a bag called the Birkin. And in order to get that, you got to have a minimum spend with Hermes in order to be able to go and do it. And
to spend 40 grand on a bag.
Yeah. But the bizarre thing about it is that you think about the customer ascension models, we've just missed this in real estate.
Yeah, we have.
How can you not know who your top 50 or 100 customers are that have done multiple spends with you? Or, landlords, for example, that are spending monthly with you and not realize one who's been with you for 20 years versus one who's been with you for 6 minutes, and not think about what can we do to unlock and provide some better value. And that might be a phone call, it might be a coming to the office, it might be let's have a quick coffee, and getting a bit more strategic with where the big opportunities sit.
Mate, I think that's really important. But, I had an inquiry that came through to me today, and it said, we bought the property from you in 2019. They don't remember the agent. So I called the agent and I said, hey, do you remember these people? Oh, yes, I do remember.
Yeah. They came through an open.
No. They bought the property. I sold that property. I said, why are they inquiring off the website and not calling you direct?
Yeah.
Let's actually start. So the one thing that's actually rapidly shaping me is the simplicity is the genius of just doing the basics every day. Just call your past clients. How hard is it just to have a list of people that settled in January of 2014 and you just call them, hey, Joshy, it's been, oh my God, 11 years. How you been? Blah, blah, blah.
Something that's changing your view.
Con, like in being a coach, I was probably really one-dimensional day one of starting, and lack of life experience and age and profile and all those sorts of things, and I probably hadn't ridden all the different markets and stuff, and there's not a lot now that surprises me. I learn a lot, don't get me wrong, but there's not a lot that surprises me because I've got a toolkit of different ways of handling things about it, and one of the things that I've really been thinking about is 4 layers. So I go, okay, people are going through life stages, so from cradle to the grave.
Yep.
And people are going through life events. Sometimes they're really exciting life events, and other times they're not. And then sometimes they're very well planned, and sometimes they're definitely not planned. Then in addition to that, you've got what we've got to call business cycles. So is a business on its way up and starting out and growing, or is this business steadily in decline? Then the next conversation is then to think about market cycles. So what's actually happening inside of the market. So when I go into a room and I get the chance to work with your team, I'll think about, okay, what am I heading into today? Have I got anyone that's hitting a very significant life stage who might be disengaged or engaged because of that? Is there anyone who's had a life event that might be engaging or a disengaging life event? Is there someone who's in their personal business who might be at a different stage, so they're going to be dismissive of some ideas because they're not yet ready for that?
Yeah.
And in addition to that, have I got some things happening in a market cycle that I need to be aware of, that maybe a government policy change or something might be making that really hot or making that really hard? And so then that way I can try to make sure that the messaging of what I'm going to deliver, although the theme is from you, but the messaging of what I'm going to deliver is going to connect with as many people in that room as possible to get momentum after the session.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it was a really different way, and it's changing my view about how I think about my delivery to make sure that I'm more palatable, but most importantly, that I'm making more impact with more of the people in that room.
Yeah, I love that. Awareness, right?
That's all it takes.
Yeah.